Chapter 4. It was now only about 6 months ago when I retired, and it was a turning point in my world and a particular reflective time. It was not that particularly sad, but it made me think. The idea that my career as a mechanical engineer was coming to an end, even though I loved what I did and worked hard, it really didn't go anywhere. My career was pretty mediocre, though it started well in the local town, getting a job after university to designing cars and tooling up the equipment to manufacture them. Anyway, the design of the cars went incrementally to AI, and we were relegated bit by bit to tooling up the things that the AI couldn't handle or fixing things that AI had identified. Last year, there was a big recall of a particular model that had a fault in one of the sensors in the automatic door closing and opening system that decided to open the door when the car got to 200 kilometers an hour. It was first thought to be hackers having a joke, but it was a pressure issue and twists of the car, but every one of those cars needed to come in and be fixed. How boring it is to fix something 10,000 times. I think the AI gave the job to us to keep us occupied, as it had become more and more able to do all the retooling and manufacturing processes, and could well have done this job too, at a tenth of the time, but needed to keep us around for a while more, just in case we were needed to do a small thing that it could not achieve by itself. I was pretty sure that my retirement would come as a result of the closing down of the whole department. But we lingered on like a group of ghosts of really intelligent people who now had little to do. Check this, replace that, clean this. The whole process of design had disappeared to a more efficient process. We made fun of the AI, about the 200 kilometre an hour door opening, as a really lame start to the takeover of humanity. But it had just not installed the injector seat to push the human out, as the human weight was slowing the car down from optimal efficiency. We never said that out loud or in places where there were sensors hearing and listening. The party for my send-off was on a Friday, and I had done little work that day, but as I said, that was not much of a change. These sort of things always happened at lunch, the same as birthdays and certain anniversaries. The 50th anniversary of the first steps on the moon, One Small Step, July 20, 1969, was particularly memorable when the cake was a moon face with the flag in the Sea of Tranquility. I think we all wanted to be in that era where man was on the cusp of greatness, as well as really dreaming of working at NASA. As I was saying, it was lunch in the office that had not been redecorated, it seemed, since 1969, which its dominance of cream and pale green, with a large table in the tea room that used to be used to spread out the blueprints of machines. I don't think the AI management thought that it was important to spend effort to make us engineer humans that comfortable. Though the big windows could see the plant of endless and tireless moving robotic arms installing and constructing cars at a comically fast rate, and on the other side you could see the barrage of tools, lathe, welding stations and veritable museum dedicated to our trade. The cake had to have an image on it. It was a culturally accepted thing, and now, even before the Sea of Tranquility, and for me, they had a picture of my first day at work. They didn't have an image, but used one of those apps to turn back the clock to approximate what I looked like at 19. It was scary to think that my life had been in this place, from this time, and when I was so young and optimistic. The early days were great. We were designing aspects of the car system and building some of the first robotic assembly lines. There was a lot of learning and tinkering to get everything right. I know I'm jumping in and out of the story, but it was a day to reflect, and I'm giving myself the freedom just to drift. My workmates used to call it Leon Land. Yes, they called me Leon here, and that's my name. I used Sebastian with my younger self to veil the truth that we were the same person. There were 7 around the cake, more intent on eating than reminiscing, so I jumped in and gave a speech. Thanked them for their shared journey with me through this career. I preempted their questions by saying that I would be travelling the world and building overcomplicated kites as a hobby. I had shared a lot with these people, and it had been not an unhappy life with people who valued design and engineering. But to my surprise, I felt no real connection to them now, that design was stripped away. I know that I'm a bit autistic and have trouble making friends, and even those long-time colleagues have made only small dents in my armour. I am, interestingly, not sad about that. We shared the intrigue of machines and design that has been ever so exciting, especially in the early days, but I don't think I'll miss them. It seems cold, doesn't it? I don't connect to people that much unless I think about my wife. Though she is gone now from cancer, and she was the one that understood how my brain worked and broke down those barriers, and I thank her every day for efforts she made to connect with me. Luckily for me, she was pretty much a genius at most things, and she allowed me into her world. Though she also suffered for decades with ineffective medicines, which you would think, over those decades, and her pain, that they could resolve the issue and come up with a cure, but we are still primitive beings in many ways. She used to explain to me the ways to act, as though I would often not understand the meaning of some of the situations or be able to read people's body language. I didn't have to understand them, I just had to know how to pretend to understand and use what she taught me as appropriate responses. That all sounds pretty funny, but my speech was a way to avoid uncomfortableness of not knowing how to respond. My aim in most situations was to get to the issue, and I often talked over people because they were too slow in getting to the issue, or at least the issue that I wanted to address. I don't miss those connections, as I don't really understand them, but I felt joy in the job because I had found a place where design is a language that I understand, and a joy is not the solution in many ways, but a pathway in trying to get there. I suppose all this explains in a way why I have used the time machine to travel back to mentor myself as a younger version. I might be one of those few people that I can relate to. That seems sad but true, and at least there is that one person. I have no idea why this convention still existed, but the buzzer rang and the end of lunch, and everyone said some nice things and went back to their workstations to do very little. Just as a footnote to this event, the department was disbanded only a year or two after I left, and the engineering department space is now part of a new assembly line for self-navigating motored tricycles. I think the tool and machinery were donated to the men's shed, where old men like me could go and make things like they used to in the old days.